Okay, right, if you're watching this expecting to see something worth watching, you're probably going to be somewhat disappointed. I suppose if you're a subscriber of mine, it's probably a kind of disappointment you're used to by now. But I'll try and have something out on Saturday. I'm working on something for Saturday that will hopefully be worth watching a little bit more than this is going to be. This is going to be a bit of a rant, perhaps a bit of a meandering ramble. I need to be careful with a meandering ramble, as a good YouTuber you ought to subscribe to. I don't really know how to pronounce his name. It's something like Cathonios or something like that. He spoofed me the other day, so I need to stop rocking around in my chair, and I need to try and stay focused, not so much on the camera, but on what I'm talking about, not keep deviating, talking about other things. There's quite a few things I want to go through in this video, really. I suppose it's a little bit like a vlog. I'm not really into vlogs. I kind of think, why would you give a shit about, you know, that I've just painted me kitchen walls fossil grey or something like that. Not that I have painted me kitchen wall. I don't even know if there's a colour fossil grey, to be honest. But I don't think you're going to be interested in that. So I usually kind of lay off that kind of mundane crap about me. But this video is probably going to be more about just general things. A few things I want to talk about. A shout out at the end, an unusual shout out at the end. It's certainly an unusual shout out at the end, but a couple of sayings that I don't like. I want to discuss a couple of sayings that really wind me up, and that links to something that I want to go through first here, which is that there's a bit of drama at the moment, isn't there, with specifically with BillzyBobb and Kate. BionicDance being the I've used BionicDance's name Kate. I don't know what BillzyBobb's name is actually. I don't know if it's Bill or Bob. Or whatever, so I apologise for that. But there's been a bit of drama involving these two individuals, and I don't want to get involved in the drama. So I'm not going to get involved in the drama. I just wanted to make a comment. I tell you why I mention it, because when it comes to the two sayings that I want to go through, one of them is a saying that Kate uses, and I want to take that to one side from the drama that's taking place. So I suppose that's why I mentioned that, really. But the BillzyBobb thing, although I don't really want to get in the drama, I do want to make a quick comment, is what I want to do. So the quick comment is this. You know, the first time I heard of BillzyBobb, because I've been away from all this YouTube thing, although I made the odd comment, I watched the odd video, but I've basically been away from it for a while, up until the middle of May. And first time I heard of this BillzyBobb was a couple of people I subscribed to knocking him. So, not knowing much about him, I went and had a look at the guy's channel. And he's interesting, he's an interesting character, and I'll tell you why I say he's an interesting character, in my view. Because if you look at some of the videos he makes these cartoon videos, doesn't he? I wish I could do that kind of animation and all that kind of thing. It would be a boon, I think, wouldn't it, to my channel if I could do that. Just on I can't draw, I can't sing, I can't draw, I can dance badly when I'm drunk. Or I mean, if I'm thinking I'm dancing badly when I'm drunk, that probably I can't dance. Okay, I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't act. I can't really do very much, to be honest. I can sleep, pretty good at sleeping. But BillzyBobb can draw these cartoons. He's good at that. It's a skill he's got. But there's more to it than that. Those ones he does with the cartoons, he is critiquing a certain type of Christian, a kind of narrow-minded, evangelical, fundamentalist Christian. And in terms of that, his observations, they're quite witty. His observations are quite sharp, I think. And there's a certain irony, because then when I've watched things with him since in discussion, especially this terrible conversation I had with Theo Warner that lasted about an hour and 20 minutes, that made me want to smash my head through the screen, it's so ironic in that he portrays, he has some of the characteristics of the people that he's critiquing. He seems to display the same kind of narrow-mindedness in terms of projecting his view of other people on other people, wanting them to conform to how he feels they ought to conform. So I kind of found that ironic. I don't want to say any more about BillzyBobb, other than if somebody tells you you're wrong, don't take too much notice. If a couple of people tell you, take a bit more notice. If nearly everybody's telling you then perhaps it means you're wrong. Anyway, that's it really. I don't want to get into that. I want to get into these sayings, and this is where Kate BionicDance comes in, because there's two sayings that kind of piss me off enough to think I'm going to make a video. A rambling video that probably nobody will watch, but that's good because it's going to be a rambling video. Although, do you know what? The video that I have the most views is a video called something like Epic Rant, Vogta, Nuclear Night, the Patriarchy and Porn, absolutely fucking everything, or something like that, and that's got like 70,000 views or something. Mainly it's because porn's in the title, and it's got like, if you search for porn on YouTube at one time, it was like it came up third. There must have been so many disappointed people. They got 18 minutes of some balding twat spouting on about, you know, Nazi feminists and loudmouth Danes on YouTube. So they must have been pretty disappointed in that. So maybe somebody will watch this. Maybe I'll put a word in the title that'll, you know, make it sound a lot more interesting than it actually is. But what I wanted to talk about was these sayings, and the first saying is one that Kate uses, and it rubs me up. It rubs me up so badly. And she's not the only person that uses it. It shows it spans continents, this. She lives in the United States, and I work with a guy. A great bloke. Loved him. Absolutely loved him. Worked with him. Classed him as a mate. And he used a very similar phrase. The phrase he used to use is, I am only saying. I'm only saying, is what he'd say. And she says, just saying. She goes, just saying. After she's finished something. Just saying. What does it mean? What does that saying mean? I don't get it. I mean, if you're making a video, if you're having a conversation with somebody, it's basically about saying stuff. It's not about doing stuff. It's not about juggling chainsaws or you know, throwing people over your shoulder or doing anything like that. It's just basically about saying stuff. That's all it is. It's opinions. It's giving facts. It's all these kinds of things. But it's about. So what does only saying mean? What does it mean to say something and then say, "Well, I'm only saying"? It's like I tell you what it sounds like, and this is what gets me about it. And maybe Kate can clear this up and explain if it means anything, or is it just a turn of phrase as a kind of filler, like going or as French people go, don't they? In between saying stuff, maybe it's one of those things. I don't know, but just does it mean anything? Because I tell you what, it sounds like to me. It sounds a little bit like, you know, when people go, "Don't shoot the messenger." You know, they say something. Don't shoot the messenger. But the thing with don't shoot, and what does don't shoot the messenger mean? What it means is, don't blame me because it's not me telling you this. I'm just like a conduit. You know, somebody has told me to pass this on to you, so, you know, don't hold me accountable for this because it's not me really telling you. I'm just passing it on behalf of somebody else. So don't shoot the messenger. But you can't say don't shoot the messenger unless all you are is the messenger. So although this kind of, I'm only saying or just saying, it sounds similar, doesn't it? But it can't be the same because you're not just the messenger. You're the one that's actually proposing the argument. You're the one that's making the critique. So to sort of say, well, don't come back at me because... So what does it mean? I'm just interested. I'm intrigued with that one, with that saying. So that's the first saying. And by the way, I'm giving these two sayings. I could do this as a tag thing. I could say, oh, I'm tagging these 5 people to give 2 sayings that piss them off. I'm not going to do that because then people start tagging me and you get tagged with something that you don't want to really respond to. Do you know what I mean? So, but if anybody else has got any sayings like this, let's have them. You know, have a way. Let's hear what shite sayings you think there are. Here's the other one. This is a good one. It's a bad one, but this is one that's always wound me up, but it's always made me smile at the same time. And it's a saying that you know what's gonna. It's a saying that only men use, right? You never hear a woman use this saying, but I must have heard 1,000 blokes use this saying, and it's the saying is this, right? I give you the saying, and you immediately know when I give you the saying what's going to follow, and the saying is, "No disrespect to you." You know what happens if everybody in the UK? It's "No disrespect to you, mate." What happened? What follows from that? What follows from the saying "No disrespect to you" is disrespect, isn't it? It's always like, no disrespect to you, mate, but you're a wanker. You know, it's always of that form. It might not be that blatant, but it's always of that form. It's like a bloke's get out of jail free card. I'm gonna say something personal to you, but again, you can't come back at me on this one because I've said no disrespect. It's blatantly disrespectful, but there's no comeback because I've said no disrespect to you. It's just a classic saying, and I wonder, you know, because what got me thinking about what stemmed all this off. I'm thinking of making I am going to be making another video on morality. I've got to lay off some of the moral stuff and some of the omniscient stuff as well. I think people are getting well titsed off with that now. Even though I've got another reply to make to somebody on that, I'm going to leave that a couple of weeks, I think, because people are getting titsed off with all that, I think. But I'm making a video. I've got a video I've got to make at some stage on morality and my perspective of the whole subject and what it already means. I've threatened to do it. I've wanted to do it for a couple of years, never done it. Threatened to do it recently. I said to a couple of people I'm going to do it, so I've got to do it. And I've been thinking on the grounds of that about the golden rule. It's relevant to what I'll be discussing. And this thing, this principle of reciprocity or ethic of reciprocity, whatever you want to call it. It's, you know, they reckon the number 80 springs to mind. Somewhere I've read that there's 80 different examples of this in different cultures, that it seems to be almost ubiquitous to cultures around the world that they have this principle. And it makes me wonder if this thing, no disrespect to you, mate. You know, people, I know because I can look at the analytics on Google of where people around the world watch my video, and I know it's not all just in the UK or in the US. You get people in Nicaragua the other day. There's a couple of people in Nicaragua and all, you know, wherever you go, Saudi Arabia, all kinds of places. You know, there'll be somebody who's viewed my video. So what I'm interested in, if you're in a non-English speaking country, if you're in a country with a totally different culture, and just on the off chance you're still actually, I mean, what the fuck are you doing if you're still watching? There's got to be something better on YouTube than this. But if you are still watching, what I'm interested to know is there an equivalent, you know? Is there an equivalent in your language or your culture of no disrespect to you, mate? That phrase that you insert there, that only blokes use prior to being personal and disrespectful to somebody. That get out of jail free card expression. Is there a cultural version all around the globe? So that's it. That's the two sayings that I wanted to bring up. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to mention two other things. One is I made a video on brewing beer ages ago, and a few people keep saying to me, are you going to do another video on brewing beer? Well, I've not done another video on brewing beer, and at the moment I'm not brewing any beer, so that would make it particularly awkward with regard to doing a video on brewing beer. If I didn't have a webcam, I'd show you it actually. I'm growing a hop plant. Okay, maybe I can insert that. I've got some video footage actually of it growing, so I could actually edit this and insert it there, couldn't I? So I'm growing a hop plant. First Gold is the variety. It's a dwarf hop plant. It still goes to about 12 foot tall. I'm growing my own hops. So at some stage I'm going to brew some beer, as I did before, malt and barley, but I'll be using my own hops. That's going to be beautiful. I mean, growing my own barley would probably be a little bit over the top. I've not really got the space to do that, to be fair. You know, I've not got a free field to grow a bit of two-row barley, I think it's the brewing one, low nitrogen. Can't do that, but I'm going to grow my own hops, so that might be quite... Well, it's interesting if you're interested in brewing. It's stultifyingly boring, I would think, if you're not. But on terms of actually creating stuff, I want to give a call out to a guy. A shout out. Call out. Call out's when you have a go at somebody, I think, isn't it? You know, when you say, no disrespect to you, mate, but you're a twat. That's a call out. This isn't a call out. This is a shout out. And a shout out to a guy called Shizzleman8. Now you may have come across Shizzleman8. He replies to a lot of atheist videos. He does it in stages. I think he's probably got some kind of manic quality, because you won't hear from him for ages, and then he'll reply to every video you've done for the past 2 months with about 50 comments on each. Okay, so he's a regular commenter on my videos, so I'm not going to knock him for that. Okay, I appreciate his involvement, even though some of the comments he makes don't make a great deal of sense. But he makes all these comments on my videos, so I want to give him a shout out, because I went and had a look at his channel, and we're talking about being creative and brewing beer there. I thought I'd have a look at his channel, and he had a video on there that did make me smile. that I want you, I encourage you to have a look at. I thought this is going to be a good video. How to make soap. Okay, this is the video, how to make soap. Now, I don't know how to make soap. What I do know is, what I think I know, I don't get into unknown unknowns here if we're not careful. What I think I know is that if you get a bit of bleach, well, I do know this bit, if you get a bit of bleach on your fingers, it goes all kind of slidey and slippy, doesn't it? And I believe that's a kind of soap or a precursor to soap or something similar to soap. It's the kind of the action of an alkali on fats. Is that right? Something like that. I think that's so. So that's the kind of thing I was expecting. So I went on his video, how to make soap, expecting to be shown how to make soap, and the video, well, his final product was soap. So far so good, but his ingredient was soap. So his video was, I mean, he needs to alter the title. His video was how to make soap out of soap. I mean, yeah, I was actually, I mean, it just seems daft now, but at the time I was absolutely corpse yesterday watching him, thinking this guy has just made soap out of soap. So I'm shout out to Shizzleman there. I've discussed the brewing beer, I've discussed the sayings. Proper video that's probably worth watching. Imagine I could say anything now, couldn't I? I could say it because nobody, I'm the only person. I don't even know why I'm watching it this far into the video. So I think I'll probably end it here. I've got some actual proper stuff to prepare. I've got a couple more hours to spend on YouTube this morning, so I'm going to prepare something proper. Thank you for now. I just wanted to get to the sayings. That's what it was all about. The sayings, no more than that. Okay. These kind of videos, you know, I never leave them up. This will probably, I'll leave this up a week, and then I kind of find it dirty. I feel like my channel's sullied by this kind of vlogging type of thing, you know. Yeah, okay, right, bye for now. Ooh, boiling hot in this room. That was about 5 hours when I recorded the rest of that, but while I'm in the mood for it, you know, while I'm chiming in on things that have got bugger all to do with me, I thought, what the hell, why not do them all in one go? And there's something I want to talk about that I don't want to put in a video of its own. And this is this thing that, with these conventions, these skeptic, secularism, atheism conventions in the States, and should there be an harassment code, people getting sexually harassed or not getting sexually harassed, or building the issue out of all proportion. Thunderf00t made a video. It's caused quite a bit of shit, it would seem, on the blogosphere. These are all things that I didn't know existed. Blogospheres, convention spheres. I've heard of a sphere, but that was about it. So it's all news to me, but Sophia Roon, Jessica gave me some PM, sent me a PM, load of links. I spent a couple of hours last night looking through some of these things, but there's so much I can't wade through it all. So I'm not going to pass a judgment. I just wanted to make some points, some general points about people when you've got a lot of people, you know, and there are things that must apply to this because they pretty much apply to any situation when you've got a lot of people. When you've got a lot of people, there are always people that can't conduct themselves properly. There are always people that are going to make a nuisance of themselves, and you need to have some mechanisms to deal with that. That's the first point. And the second point is, that being true, I find it almost inconceivable, given the number of sexual harassment claims that have been thrown around here, that some of them cannot be true, that some of them cannot be justified, that some of them need dealing with. On the basis of that, it would seem reasonable for me that it probably would help to have some kind of harassment code. Having said that, point 3, whenever you get a large number of people, it's just a fact. We all know people who are just looking to make mileage out of something, that's just looking to make trouble. If they're empowered, they're shit. It doesn't matter whether, if they're empowered as your boss, they'll be a shit. If they're empowered through some kind of social code or some social standard, or by condemning people as doing things that are inappropriate, whatever they can do to get one over on you, they will do. And that's another thing when you've got people. So if you've got a lot of people, you are bound to get people doing that. Now, what you don't want, what nobody wants, is those kind of people to be further empowered by an harassment code. I'm assuming that's the problem. Nobody wants the kind of, you know, boring bastards who are going to ruin your night empowered by such a code. So surely that boils down to who is enforcing the code. Those aren't the kind of people you want enforcing the code. You want people that straddle the middle ground, that have got a bit of common sense to enforce the code. That's what you rely upon. If that doesn't happen, the whole thing breaks down. Nobody will turn up at the convention next year. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say on that. But just something to bear in mind. I don't know whether it's relevant. Maybe at these conventions, the bar that everybody's going to, because what Thunderf00t was talking about was the atmosphere in the bar, and I have some sympathy for what he said actually with regard to that. But listen, there are different types of bar, so unless that's the only possible bar in the region, I went to Donington, the motorcycle track, Donington Park, at Castle Donington there, about 20 years ago to watch the British Motorcycle Grand Prix. Stayed over 3 nights, and what I can tell you is there were in those days, I don't know how it is now, there were 2 campsites. One campsite was if you just wanted to go down and watch the bikes going round and round the track, have a couple of beers, get to bed, get your head down, pretty quiet campsite. Then there was another campsite where pretty much anything went. If you wanted to cycle round at midnight on a bike, stark bollock naked, that was fine, you could do that. If you wanted to smoke a joint, you could. The police would walk past people smoking joints, wouldn't bat an eyelid. They'd go over and talk to them, they wouldn't bat an eyelid. The police were just there to stop people killing one another or assaulting one another or doing things that were outrageously dangerous. Although I did actually one year lend a tent to a friend who went there, and it got burnt down by a flamethrower. So even with the police there, it was perhaps a little bit out of control. But anyway, the point is this: you had 2 separate campsites so people could choose the atmosphere that they wanted. Is that not a possibility? Couldn't you have 2 bars? Have a bar for people that want to have a drink, and a more reserved chat, and then people who want a slightly more bawdy atmosphere. I'm not saying you can go punching people in the face or sticking your hand up the skirts without asking first, but have a slightly more bawdy atmosphere. Horses for courses. I know which bar I'd go in, but everybody's entitled to their choice. Then they'd have a choice, wouldn't they? Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.